Okay, so what's been going on? An alliance is formed between black and pink that seem to be holding up pretty well, and they've actually got white on the run. Just with more pieces, with more forces out there, they're able to grab up territory, more stacks out there. Grab up territory where the main battle is not. On the other hand, white is actually taking a lot of black territory. Pink is the one who's probably coming out ahead in this, and they were the weaker power. And they've got a threat. Green is beginning to grow and has taken over most of the, well, they've taken over the original yellow territory. Yellow's pushed down into this dwarven territory, which is valuable. There's dwarves, but they were up in a bottleneck type position, and they kind of screwed up. Probably should have moved back into here instead of down here, taking the territory from pink. Areas are switching hands back and forth without any real rhyme or reason. There's nothing like a front line or anything like that. It doesn't feel like there's any stability in this game ever. It's just too fluid, too dynamic in terms of land changing hands. It's one of the gripes that I'm beginning to realize about it. I never really realized, I had a positive view of it overall from before. And more I'm beginning to say, I had a positive view, but never any memories of any great positive experiences. I think my positive view was this was the first fantasy war game that I had. And, warning. Whenever you hear me laughing, I was laughing in the last video towards the end, I'm laughing now, it means I'm more miserable than usual. Just as a reminder. Like, you hear me kind of downbeat and everything, that's my normal me. I start laughing, that means I've got a lot to worry about right now. So, here we are once again in the allegiance phase, and once again I haven't erased any magic I used. I think the only thing is this elemental here. So the pink and black alliance is actually doing something, I guess. I'm not sure if black is they're kind of, I don't know if anybody's really gaining much, because black gained down here but lost over here. Pink gained up here, but lost some of their central area, right? I guess they came out ahead overall. So they're still kind of poised in a position where they want to stay together, I think. White can do something, though. What would white want to do? Well, I think an alliance with black is a bad idea, but I would love to be able to get pink back. So I think I'm going to use my mind magic on pink here, assuming that there's, I think the harmony has to be done first. So I'm going to use my alliance on pink. That pink-black alliance is going to hold up at least on a 1 to 4. Okay, so they're going to hold their position. White is considering something here, and on odds we do it. We're going to give yellow their king back in exchange for an alliance and a general goodwill situation throughout the game is what we're looking at. We don't do it. Yeah, it's a hard thing to do to give up the king, but yellow would have been, obviously it helps yellow. It brings them back into the game and probably makes them white's buddy for the game. And, the alliance wouldn't have to formally hold or whatever in case the magic works. But also, it would, Yellow would probably be in debt to white as they would see things. Maybe at some point later in the game things would switch, but they'd probably be willing to work pretty hard to help white there. Pink is certainly not going to give green back their ruler. That just looks like a bad idea. But yellow and white don't share any yellow and white don't share any borders. So that's kind of interesting. Is there anything else that might happen? Well, maybe hearing that green would try to ooze into this pink-black alliance. Let's see. I'm going to say on a 1, they might be able to. No. All right, so we go to the last thing, which is the use of the mind magic. On a 1 or a 2, that works. It does not. And now we mark it off. So things are going to stay as they are, basically. We get to the tornado phase. Okay, only one person has elemental magic. That is pink. Again, it's hard to tell whether or not I'm going to have some strong maneuver capability that I want to use it for. But white's richest place right now is this. White has fallen a lot on income, and they may actually be in trouble. They've used up all their cash, so they may not be able to support their army. I think they've actually lost some points. I'm not positive. But they lost up here, and they lost down here, and they gained over here. So that's kind of iffy. Does that mean I'd want to hit them, actually, to further reduce them? Well, it's pink. Pink's the one who's facing this force. However, I got troubles in all directions, basically. Let's see. Let's make that decision on to try to strip income. I mean, it's not likely to do anything no matter what, because it's just a 1. You know, I'm not going to be able to get the magic off terribly successfully. I'm going to target Starhome with a tornado. We don't get it. Our value would go down, but it can't go down any further. So it's fine. And I was working fine until I got to white, who has a large army, and they do not have the money to sustain it, even with Starhome's income included. But I'm having trouble doing the simple arithmetic and memorizing the numbers. Really, when I hit the 0 point, tired, to be honest. It's daylight, and I shouldn't be awake during the daylight, I guess. I don't know. Down to it, I just have trouble with counting. Counting is hard for me. It's not so much the individual, little arithmetic aspects. It's remembering where the fuck I am in my counting. I'm $1 off, which means buck off. We can get rid of just one of these. And there's 6, 4, 5, 6. Counting's hard there too. I thought it was a little worse than that. I thought it was like $3 off, in which case I would have probably dropped a leader. But yeah, so far the only person building anything is green. They're going to build their dwarves. The reason for that is I got boats as a big part of my maneuver capability up here, or my combat capability, and boats are not a great deal. They are, strength-wise, the Elvish boats are pretty good combat-wise for the amount you pay, but they can't sail into Yakash, even if I flood stuff. Yeah, the net purchase was those 2 dwarves, and that's it. Black ended up breaking about even. Like I said, white was $1 short that they had to throw away a feudal unit. But otherwise, nobody else is really building anything. They're just maintaining even. That gets us to the first magic phase. Nobody's got the money to do any of that stuff. So we're on plot. The mind magic's been used up, so no clairvoyance is going to happen here. I found an oops. I carried this fleet with me into Stell and Grandamite. It's illegal for it to be there, obviously. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him the $3 back that he paid in maintenance for it and ditch that boat. Nobody wanted the boat, but yeah, yellow's fucked up, and this is not good. They're screwed. this move down here was not a good move, it turns out. And I should have held and defended. I didn't. Probably gonna, you know, this situation's probably gonna finish them off. Again, has this weird situation where I have to kind of outguess white, and white's gonna be in the same place in terms of, well, where do I move to do anything? Holding my territory, I could do something like bounce, bounce, or bounce, bounce, but Yakash is threatened by green and yellow. What's up with that? Am I going to go defend that? If I do, I lose this, almost certainly. There's nothing I can do. I don't have March, do I? Yeah, there's nothing I can do to kind of defend myself. So I think what I do is I keep playing around, trying to wipe white, trying to hit the white army, and maybe I can get some necromancy off. What's my value there? It's only a 2. So, you know, it's not bad, but yeah. And it's also something that if a lot of forces are there, I can't maintain them all. I'd have to give a bunch of them up. Which troops I keep, which I don't. Really iffy choice always. And I don't know how many more of these videos I'm going to make for this. You know, if things just keep... Things might break open because I think there's some horrible plots coming. But if things just keep bopping around, I'm just getting bored. This reminds me of a bad version of Warlords China in Disarray. It really does. So, here's where things went. First of all, this goes pink. This goes white. This is fine. Black is moving back up to try to coordinate with pink. Pink is playing their little weird game, but white moves down and is going to be able to hit Black's army, however. We'll see what happens because, oh, this was supposed to come with me. And I don't think I needed them all boats. White is actually converging everything onto Chessa, which is going to cause some weirdness. And the green, what I consider the elves, are doing a block on the, I guess these are the dwarves then. At least how they started. This was a dwarf-elven alliance. This was, I don't know what it was. I don't remember what I started with. I bet you I have them written down where they started. I bet you. Yarrow and Chivane, yeah, the civilized up there. We have the crazy situation where 2 armies went and passed each other, which I just think is goofy. I mean, I can see it happening, but what you really want to do, I think, if you want to trap people, is you want to leave part of your force behind, move in, say, leave enough to get you 1-to-1 behind, move in with enough to get you 1-to-1. Use this to block, and then go back up to make sure you get everybody together. Because as it is, these can just keep marching upward. Now, over here, this got converted. Everything's there. All right. But black is done, but white still has movements, and everybody's going into Chessa. Now what this means is I can actually get rid of probably one of my leaders. I probably want to keep a naval and a land force, send them in different directions or whatever, take care of different stuff. We'll see, but maybe I can actually combine everything and just, you know, get rid of 2 of my leaders and build them later, or leave one. So if I leave a leader and pay his maintenance for 2 turns, that's less than building the new leader. Of course, I don't really have troops of the right type down there. So even if I create a big naval naval force to work my way upward, that's not necessarily very valuable. So I'm probably better off keeping at least one of my leaders just economically. But I could actually build up some cash and rebuild a leader, build a different leader, one with tactical instead of March. After we moved in there and took that, we've got a 5-to-1 attack here. Green and yellow both have a single tact. Oh, wait. No. Yellow has a tactical, so that drops it down to 4-1, but still not good. Smaller is eliminated. Does green have necromancy? Of course not. He's just a leader. So we kill yellow's leader and this excess dwarf here. I think that's a 500 level. Which means this converts over to green. Pink lost some of their income. It looks to me like white is going to run away with this if we're not careful. And that's the end of this turn. And there's huge stacks there. Got to figure out what to do with them. This swamp is a nice protection for the territories down here. Pink, sure, they're gathering up stuff. So it's not like white's income is going to increase tremendously. But on the other hand, their board position is becoming more consolidated. And, you know, pink is losing their biggest income generator while they tink around trying not to lose their territory, and white just turned around and went the other way. Of course, black, there's hardly any black left. Bonk, bonk, bonk. So black's income has dropped to the point where they probably can't keep their army on the board anymore. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Maybe get rid of some stuff and build a feudal unit or something. That's not economical. You don't want to pay. It costs $2 for one strength point. I'm sure. I don't. Frogs are 2 for 2. This is 5 for 3. That's actually a pretty good deal. 3 for 3 is definitely a decent deal. Yeah. So I'll probably have to get rid of that cab actually. But yeah. Everything is disintegrating. White is becoming more and more powerful. If everybody doesn't align against white, we got a problem. I would say yellow's mostly out of the game. Green is going to gather up what they got. But pink is pissed off because green took their territory, right? A quick count of income, because I'm not sure I want to play to the 120 to tell you the truth. We'll see what the board looks like wherever I'm going to be. But right now, white is at like 60, right? So it's far, you know, maybe a little more. But it's far, I counted this, but I don't think I counted those. It's pretty far from the kind of points that you need to be able to say, yeah, I'm winning this game. If it's down to a 2-player game and one person has 90, I want to go to the 120. But right now, it's still a 5-player game officially. I'd say 4 because I think yellow's out and green has kind of accumulated a little bit more. But yellow may be getting their king back at any time. You know, white's like, yeah, how'd you like to come in second, buddy? After we wipe everyone else off, you'll still be on the board at least. That's worth that kind of deal. I'm still going to roll dice for it. You know, in terms of how do I place in the game, coming in second is probably about the best that yellow could possibly hope for in the circumstances they're in. They have 3 little territories, disparate. They've lost their king. They have the wrong kind of troops there. There's a dwarf that maybe I can buy, but it looks like I'm going to get wiped out. Well, maybe I get away, you know. And making that deal is almost assuredly a good deal for yellow. If white trusts yellow, making that deal is a good deal for them. To have a permanent little buddy, you know. But that's not taking everything into account that would actually be happening at the gaming table, which is, hey, maybe yellow just wants to fucking go home instead of coming in second. Maybe they're just perfectly, or go play a different game. Maybe they're perfectly happy with bailing out and not being forced to continue playing. So we could well, you know, I feel like it's probably a crapshoot as to whether or not they want to be white's little buddy. Funny being awake during the day. It's been a long time since I have, and it's so much more difficult to to avoid the guilt and the misery and whatever of existence during daylight hours. Somehow I can just do whatever the fuck, waste my time however at night, and I feel mostly okay. But when I'm up and awake during the day, I just feel so much worse. Anyway, let's play a little bit more. I keep trying to sleep because it's the only fucking escape. Okay. What's our situation here? Well, hey, black and pink may not be the best combo anymore, right? Like, I can't see them kind of breaking it. I think white is convinced that, okay, screw you guys, I'm gonna finish black off, and then it'll be a clash between the two of us. But let me think if I want to do any magic. I certainly don't want to do anyone who's not black and pink on it. Is there any reason for me to take pink out of the equation? I don't think so. So we again have to remember to erase this, and I think black and pink will try to stick together on a 1 through 5. Sure. Like, I just don't see any reason why they wouldn't remain allied. Is there anything they could include in them? Well, the big question there is, hey, green, can I throw you into this as well? Let's say odds, they do. The reason they wouldn't want to is that pink is pissed off about green taking Yakash, but I kind of can't afford to fight them, so nope. So we may actually turn against them. And now there's the big question of the odd even on the yellow-white side. They do not come to an agreement at this point. Okay. No magic was underway. This is holding up. Tornado phase. Let me think. Get to thinking. I'm going to make a little argument again about the nature of the game. So, by the rules, and I kind of don't do this all that much, or I fudge it, you're supposed to plot down which units are with the leader when he's moving. You're supposed to record all of that. So completely plan your move out. What you're not supposed, what you don't have to plot though, is blocking actions. Which is to say, you're allowed to make your decision whether or not to let somebody pass on any given move at the time of the move. Again, it feels a little inconsistent, right? Like, hey, I should be able to just plot my leader's movement and take care of that within it. And if, if I have to leave units behind or whatever, that's fine. If I choose to, that's also fine, whatever. And again, I don't know, I don't know whether there's any particular game reason to make one choice or the other. Obviously, plotting the blocking movements would have added a complexity to the whole plot and would have added some additional rules. Plotting which units are with you doesn't add much in terms of rules overhead, in terms of, what's present in the actual rule book. But it does add a significant burden to the players. And, anyway, back to thinking. Who's got the tornado? It's only pink who has it. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. I just don't feel... I mean, I could freeze this with a lucky shot. And that would actually... Because all of his troops are there. That's actually more valuable. So we're not going to go for it. Into finance. With freezing, that is... I have a 1 in 6 chance of getting it off. I can't at all count on that working, right? So everybody's going to have to do their movements as though this is all free and able to move, all the plots and everything. Unlike mine, clairvoyance, I don't know whether or not. Basically, I make my plot in clairvoyance after I make my check for clairvoyance. I make my plot, or I make it before, but it only counts if I fail, right? It's essentially the same thing. I make my movement plot without any ability to know in advance whether or not this odd effect is going to take shape. And you know, if I'm having to react to white's possible moves and pay that cost anyhow, I'm not gaining anything by casting that spell, or I'm gaining a whole lot less than if I know whether or not it works. Of course, some of that is that I only have a 1. The question is, has yellow just given up the game? And what does that mean, right? I'm looking at their income. They actually have a fair amount of territory because we lost our army, which means we have a reasonable amount of money. We netted 11 bucks, gets us to 15. What would I do with that 15? Well, I might want to buy this dwarf, which would help defend one of the 2 locations. I might want to buy, there's only 1 dwarf available. I might want to buy, I don't want to buy an elf, but I might want to buy a leader to be able to do stuff. I think the leader is probably the best choice, but it's a tough call either way. Or if I have actually given up, I might want to just say screw it and walk away. And at that point, then you have the question of, is yellow still a player, or can people play the mind magic against this elf here holding this territory for $5? Not that anybody has that kind of cash in general, but some of the complexity, because finances isn't all handled at the same time. You do your income first, then your maintenance, then you buy new units. But I kind of program things out ahead of time. So here I was planning on building a dwarf and a leader. I may not do that because new elves showed up. New civilized troops showed up as well, which might be a deal for white. White probably doesn't want to calve. It's the same strength for a higher price. It's one of the problems. Black lost most of their units. They're down to 3 legionary infantry, and that's it. And not in good shape at all. They basically have nothing left. My poor Froggers, everything just gone. But I am considering whether or not green wants to do a different move, because these boats are kind of stuck here. I was thinking, I might move them up there, take that. But you know, I can defend that. Pink can go grab that. It's not that terrible a situation for me. The idea with the dwarf was that it gives me more flexibility of movement, but if I buy an elf down here, I can move in and out, which might be of value instead. I have 20 bucks. I was going to spend 18. Let me figure out what I want to do. Bought a big pile of elves. Give me a better option. The way I do movement, this can move in here for 1 movement point. The forest leaders always pay 1. Pick these guys up, then they have 2 movement points. I could go 1, grab these, and then move into here. Or I could move here, then move here, and grab that, which is actually probably the more attractive for me. Anyway. First magic phase. Somebody has $5, don't they? Yellow does. They have nothing. They have mind magic, but they're captured. Alrighty. On to the plot. And we're going to try to flood this. That's a 1. Did we use mind magic? We did not. Not sure why. Do we want to use mind magic for something? Because we're running out of options now. So we could clairvoyance, which would show us the movement plots of another player. We're not that terribly concerned, although a connection here would be of interest. We could mind control something. I'll try to mind control this. Okay, so first the flood. Well, that's not good. Can't go down any further. Now the mind control. That's not good. We're awesome. Magic is so powerful in this game. I mean, it can be, but it can also be a total shit show. And it starts off very weak. And you have to get pretty fucking lucky for it to get impressive. Okay. We haven't been seeing it increase. It should kind of stay around 2 to 3. It should be a little higher than 2 in general. Okay. And let's start doing the movement plots that I've got out. We've got some interesting stuff. So this leader moved over here to grab these troops. The Dwarf King moved in. He's being blocked. And this gets converted. And this gets converted. On to second. And we've got a particularly interesting situation. Let me take care of these first. A couple of captures here and here. These guys are fleeing up into the pink territory. They're allied, so they're not taking it away. They're just trying to hide from the white army. But we're losing more and more territory, which means there's a pretty good chance that we're going to actually lose income again. Although, well, we'll see, because we took this. But the interesting situation is right here, where we've got yellow, green, and pink all in the same area. None of them are allied. What's going to happen is one of them gets an option to declare battles. They don't have to. But you fight each individual player separately unless they're allied, which means that this stack can attack, say, this first and then this, or something along those lines, and try to clear the area out. It's probably in the best interest of the smaller forces to be attacked first. But we'll see what the ordering is, because that comes down to a die roll. We've still got the third move to do. White had a third move with any of their pieces. They got this, and they grabbed this. And now black is down to 4 economic points. They can't maintain their army. Somebody could fund them. There's at least indications in the rules that you can give money to people. Like, it's clear you can do it. There's just no rules around it. There's a fair amount of that. But, you know, you can just say, hey, you can just transfer it. So, the only interesting thing left is what's going on here. So, yellow, pink, green for ordering. Yellow has first chance. They're not declaring any combats. So now we're on pink-green. Green has first chance. They're not declaring any battles. So now we're on pink. And I got to calculate out what we've got there. But pink is going to probably try to attack both. They may well lose. This may be a bigger force. It's certainly a 1-to-1, but I want to go for this first. So that's 19-2. It's 6-1. Pink has a tactical. Yellow has a tactical. So they cancel out. We're gonna destroy. We're gonna destroy them. So there goes yellow. Gone. Now we calculate out, and Yeah, yellow still exists as a player, and they can build up new forces, but for whatever that's worth. We're going to calculate out how much green has there. I'm pretty sure green's a bigger force. It's 23 to 19, but pink has tactical, so they get up to 2 to 1 on their side. Again, the way this works is weird. They get a 4, the smaller force has to retreat. Pink does not have retreat capabilities, so he gets his choice of where to flee. Huh. I think the most flexible is up here, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. That's where we'll go anyway. Which means this is pink again. There's no necromancy. And we're done with another one. Oh, where are we in terms of plans? It's, you know, like 5 in the morning Monday. We have a black and pink alliance, which is feeling like it's falling apart. That there's not enough room there. Now, I think the real question comes down to it's falling apart in that black has just collapsed and white is quite powerful. Green is beginning to look better positioned than black, so that pink-green coalition or whatever is more likely. Yellow has pretty much dissolved due to errors more than anything else, like moving my ship down here. So I guess that's kind of what I'm looking at. White has mind magic and can release that to try and prevent something if I wish to. Or I could use it for clairvoyance. Might be more valuable there. So what I'm looking at here is the possibility, first of all, black is sitting in Sashak here, and we'll take it over if an alliance is not maintained there. So that's problematic for pink. So pink wants to keep an alliance with black if they can. I don't know how much black has for that. But we'd also like to add green. So the most important thing to me is green. So I'm going to do odds on that. And the question here is releasing the king. I kind of hope I don't, because I want this thing to be over. But we are going to agree to release the king and create a pink-green alliance. Do we add black into it? We do. So we're looking at this. White could release the yellow king under similar circumstances. However, you think that involves... Well, no, because all negotiations open. So as soon as this pink-green black alliance is formed, it's time to talk to yellow. So on odds I do this, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. We'll do that as well. So we're going to create a pink and white alliance as well. And both kings are going to be released. The green king has tactical, elemental, and necromancy. I think it's worth putting him here and using this guy who just has March to deal with the navies. And the yellow king, well, I'll put it down here because that's my most important province. And he has tactical mind and necromancy. Can't use the mind here because this is part of the agreements portion. Let me erase any markings I have and consider... Yeah, both kings that were captured. Wow, now the game looks like it's like maybe going to last a lot longer. We had kind of knocked 2 players to the ground by taking their kings away, but it's beginning to look more iffy. Well, freezing this force would be an incredibly powerful thing to do. It seems hard to do. I could freeze the sea. That would also be difficult to do and of much less value. So the question is, do I want to use elemental magic to try to take away economy, or to bust up his movement at a time when I can't really predict things very well? I think it's better to go for economy. We have two elemental mages here in play. Pink has a 1 point, green has a 2 point. I'm going to fire them both off. The green one's going to go after here, the pink one is going to go after the 8-point space, so we'll do that. Green goes first with their tornado. They do not. And now the one on Starhome also does not. And that puts me into the finances phase with white getting their full income. Pink should be yellow. Pink can't be in two alliances. A couple of notes on this, pink, well, pink and yellow. Green ended up breaking exactly even. They have just as much income as they do troops on the board. They're fine with that. They can do shit with it. But both yellow and pink. Yellow has like 15 bucks left, but there was only one dwarf that could be bought. And if another one shows up, they won't have enough because it would cost us 16 to build. So they're not really in a great position here. Not much was added. But again, green is probably very, very pro-pink at this point, and yellow is very pro-white. They've both been allowed into the game one way or another by giving their king back. But pink is in a really weird position. They've got 20 bucks. That's a lot of money. They don't have a lot of stacks, so there's no real need for leaders. Maybe I'll buy a wizard. I don't know. Because I have basically no territories that I can build any troops with. I could build some civilized troops here in Therati for 10 bucks. That seems like a real waste, to tell you the truth. Unless I buy a hero with them too and get them moving, which might not be a bad idea. I could maybe threaten down here or something without doing much. However, there's a big navy that would presumably be within striking distance no matter what happens. So that's a little iffy. And the idea of another hero is useless to me. I don't have another stack to move, basically. I've got my big stack. It's outgunned, I think, by the white stack, but I don't know. It used to be this black stack was fairly potent, but now it's been drifted down to nothing, which is why there's like a unit here and these things and everything. So yeah, I still haven't done these guys. Trying to avoid. I mean, the game is getting very tedious for me, and my will to do anything, not just the game, but anything in life, is gone, as usual. Has one use for their money I can tell you about. Black doesn't have much money. I'm about $5. Well, I'm $5 short. I'm going to pay 5 to black in order to fund his army here. He can't build it up at all in terms of orcs, but I can pay to keep him in the field, essentially. Somebody's got to be the treasurer, right? So that reduces his options a little bit. What would I be able to do with a mage? Is there anything exciting I could do? I could freeze this force. That might be of some value. Not too concerned about white there. I could conceivably use elemental magic somewhere. Elsewhere. I have a necromancy already, so if I want to kill something, I can do that anyhow. Who are my allies? Black, who has no magic whatsoever, and green, who also has a necromancy, and I could fund their necromancy as well if they get away with that. So trying to kill the leader here would be really useful. That would strand a large navy. It would be hard to get a leader there. Really hard. They can't walk on water, so unlike some games where they're allowed to. Another Costigan game, Dark Emperor, you're allowed to walk on water with your leaders, I think. I don't think you're allowed to here, which is a bit of a shame when it comes down to it. So I think that's what we're going to use our money for, is to fund assassination attempts. Oh, both pink and green are going to plot necromancy against this leader. Let's do the pink one first. They both roll at the same time. The cost is not by taking a chance. It only counts if it's successful, but we have $8 between the two of them. No. And the second one. No, this would go down, but it doesn't. We cross off the two necromancies. Oh, shit. Sorry. It's that one. Yellow does not have the money for necromancy. Pink did. Yellow could do it if white was willing to fund it. They're not. They're not interested. They're not in the same boat as pink and green are. And did anyone want to do mind magic for an allegiance? This would be of some value, but I don't have $5. I could ask yellow for $1. Is it worth it? No. So we go over to plot movement, and we're going to plot everybody's movement. White is going to be doing a clairvoyance on someone. The only thing that's really important is pink. Everyone else kind of relies on them. And you're not allowed to discuss stuff away from the table, from what I can understand of the game. Which means you can't really work together to create a problem. Like, it's hard to say. The only time you're allowed to discuss stuff that's explicit in the rules, it's open. And it's during the alliance phase. I'm assuming you're allowed to discuss stuff at other times. You would think you'd be allowed to work with your allies secretly, but I don't think you are. There's nothing that indicates that, and the only time that does indicate that you can talk, it is explicitly open. Realizing there's someone mind magic might make sense for the allegiance spell, which is yellow could grab this. That might be worth it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to use it as a second shot. White and yellow are both going to use their mind magic to make a shot at finding out where the pink pieces are going. So I'm not going to plot either of them yet. Pool of retreat ability gave you an option to withdraw before battle or something like that, instead of just, you don't have to retreat and you control the enemy's retreat. It feels more like some kind of special tactical maneuvering capability then that would allow you to get the jump on somebody who has less. It doesn't. I don't know. Kind of a Washington type of functionality where, yeah, I don't want to fight here. Let me slip away from New York. Okay, I'm going to fire off those two mind magics. They're both going to be targeted at him. He's the one I'm interested in. So yellow does not, and white does not. White would go down, but they don't. So I got to plot their moves now. Any elemental magic, so I didn't plot that. We'll go on to the movement execution. I think we're going to see some interesting stuff, because I know what I plotted. Oh, we take this water. Black moved into here to help defend this. Now this is going to be kind of a fuck up, because pink is moving here. This is kind of a bottleneck, where for Yakash to fall and for the green area to be in danger and whatnot, this has to be taken, because the bad terrain means forces are almost always going to have to pay 2 movement points to attack in that direction. And that's just going to be painful in general. But pink is going to stop there because of that. Green is going to stop there. But black just got blocked by white, who has no intention of moving any further and is willing to fight the entire army because all of his alliance is coming into Therati. So I think we're going to see black fall completely as a power at this point. This is a 0-point area. It's important who controls a location because of certain movement capabilities, so marking that is still of some value. This converts. This converts, yeah, swapping territory left and right. And I think that's it. We do have more movement coming. There are people with 3 and even 4 movement points because this thing didn't pick up its troops until it moved 1 and then gets to move its troops 2 more. It still has another movement point, but is going to be at C. This is the finishing position with everybody in here to beat up on black. Green moving down and taking some of white's territory. At least their oceans, for what it's worth. I'm assuming this is going to be 6-1, but I got to count it. Actually, I think it's exact. 54 strength points to 9. Yeah. How about that? Exactly 6-1. The leadership is the same on both sides. It's 1 level of tactics. So the smaller force is going to get hit. How badly? They lose half their force, which is 2 of these feudal infantry. I can either fall back into the swamp or up to here. Oh, those 2 might be necromancered. Black has retreat. I wouldn't have to retreat. I could stand here and hold that for pink, which I'm going to do. I can't block these from moving, but they can't advance into these spaces, which is an interesting situation for next turn. And necromancy. White has necromancy, right? No. Who's yellow? Yellow is with white. Yeah. Yellow has necromancy. Yellow's going to try to raise those troops. Could go badly. Goes badly. Oh, boy. All right, so this goes down to a 1. And that's 2 units are destroyed. Yellow only has 1 unit. So their king is alone here. Does the alliance lose another unit? Sure. That went all. So whether the alliance or not takes losses or not, that's kind of a who the hell knows. Certainly precedence should go there, but I don't know. It's not covered in the rules. And the fact that I was able to keep this in pink's hands is kind of a big deal. That $8 is going to be important. Black is willing to take that hit with their retreat option. Actually, they wouldn't have to retreat anyway. They did not get a retreat result. They got a half eliminated result. So yeah, it wasn't going to convert sides anyhow. This is going to go up. I'm kind of not sure what the hell. Like, I was kind of hoping it would be clear after this, but it's not. There's got to be one more big battle. And this video has gone long enough already. So we'll send it up.